Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Thanks for hanging out with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and plenty to do on this Tuesday. Glenn West going to join us 30 minutes from right now. We'll talk about LSU and South Carolina on the hardwood tonight, and LSU against Southern on the diamond in an hour. We'll do both of those with Glenn coming up at 1:30. Trey Greens decided to step away from basketball. We'll chat a little bit about that. And the Tigers, can they win 2 in a row? South Carolina's winless in the league. They come to the PMAC. We'll do that at 2 o'clock. That's when LSU baseball against Southern will fire up. So in the second hour, we're not going to talk any LSU baseball. We'll talk LSU South Carolina. Sharie Aack will join us at 2:15 to talk about a lot of the things going on with the Saints. We're going to do some of that coming up in 15 minutes as well. And then Kurt Schilling is going to join us an hour and a half from right now. Of course, the Major League Baseball legend. If you were listening, we were on Radio Row last week. I teased Kurt Schilling 3 different times. We had him booked. We had some time ready to go. And I saw him across the room, but as things go in that room, folks get held up, interviews run long, schedules get jumbled, and he wasn't able to make it. So I kind of put it in the rearview mirror. But his team did come to us to book that interview, and when he didn't make it, I think they felt a little bit of remorse, and they're like, hey, can he come on next week? And I was like, absolutely. I'll talk to Kurt Schilling on the radio next week. So they've been kind enough to give us a little bit of time. Kurt is going to talk a little bit about the World War II Museum, which is very, very near and dear to his heart. But I want to hear some old war stories as well. Actually, that's just a horrible pun that I didn't mean to do. I want to hear about him playing baseball, not being in World War II. And we'll hear some of that an hour and a half from right now from Kurt Schilling. Funny how words sometimes come out that way. Who are the Saints hiring on the offensive side of the ball? We'll do that in 15 minutes, but right now it's our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
LSU and Southern will play baseball in an hour from right now, so I want to kind of give y'all my thoughts on that as they get ready for a little matinee action. Look, I understand they've got to do this sometimes. It's best to plan this way because cold weather can be really nasty. There are a lot of SEC teams that are not going to be able to play the next 2 days because the weather's going to be so cold. That's not necessarily going to be the case down here in South Louisiana, but it's better to be safe than sorry, so they'll play in the afternoon a few times, which will bump up into our show. We'll live, but we'll talk about it before they get out on the field today. And the lineup is out. It was published about 8 minutes ago, so let's go through what Jay Johnson's got in store for Southern today. Chris Stanfield's going to lead off and play in center field. That's what happened all weekend. Derek Curiel is going to hit second and play left field. Okay, gotcha. Jared Jones in the 3-hole. We figured that. Daniel Dickinson is going to play second base and hit cleanup. Ethan Fry is the DH. Now, I don't know if Southern's throwing a lefty or not. I honestly don't know. It stands to reason they probably are with Fry in the DH spot, but he'll hit fifth and DH. Josh Pearson's going to play right field in the 6th hole. Michael Braswell is going to play third in the 7th hole. Stephen Milam's a shortstop. He'll hit 8. And Kade Arambidi is going to do the catching and hit 9th. We'll talk pitching here in a second. But as you look at that lineup, you've got the mainstays. Stanfield, Curiel, Jones, right there at the top of the order. Those are the guys that Jay Johnson wants to put 1, 2, 3. The cleanup spot has shifted a little bit. We saw Josh Pearson there opening day. We saw Daniel Dickinson in there. After that, Dickinson remains in there, and if it's against a left-handed pitcher, that makes a lot of sense. Same thing for Ethan Fry. Josh Pearson's in right field, and Fry's DHing, which means Jake Brown's not playing, and Ashton Larson is not playing. Of course, Ashton Larson drove in 7 runs over the weekend, had a big-time Sunday where he drove the ball out of the ballpark for a 3-run homer to kind of get LSU kick-started there in the middle innings. There's just not enough room. There's not enough room for everybody. And that's going to be something that's very interesting to watch as we move forward. I asked Ashton, I said this on the show yesterday, I asked Ashton in the post-game press conference, like, hey, what's it like not playing every day? I mean, he actually did play every day, starting every day. And how is that mentally, and how do you prepare yourself? And he dismissed it. Now, it's 3 games in, and he started one of them, and he was just coming off a game where he drove in 5 runs and hit a homer. So he's probably in pretty good mood. But the question is, how does Jake Brown feel about not playing every day? How does Josh Pearson feel about not playing every day? How does Ethan Fry feel about not playing every day? There are going to be a lot of guys in that pitching staff who are not going to be the Friday night starter, the Saturday starter, or not going to be the closer. How do they feel? If everybody's on the same page, which it felt like the 23 team really kind of was, they settled on a lineup, but there was a lot of upheaval. Dugas was in the outfield, and then he was at second base, and Trey Morgan was at first base, and then he went to the outfield, and then he went back to first base, and Jared Jones came out of the lineup, and Joe Bear was in and out of the lineup, and Riley Cooper was in and out of the rotation, and like there were a lot of things shuffled, and it felt like LSU as a team handled that pretty well. How does this group handle it? I don't really have any doubts about Josh Pearson. Pearson's done this for like 3 years now, so he kind of knows how it works, but I'm curious how Brown, how Larson, how Fry, those guys handle this. But today, no Brown, no Larson in the lineup. Cade Arambidi is going to do the catching, and I think they're going to try to get him in there in some confidence-building spots, and I think a game against Southern is certainly a confidence-building spot. Arambidi will see pitching today that is very likely comparable to a lot of what he saw in high school. I'm just guessing. I don't know anything about one pitcher on Southern's baseball team. Didn't look into it. Don't care. Like, I'm here to be informative. I'm here to do research. I'm here to be prepared. I'm not going to go through Southern's pitching staff 3 games into the season to see who they might throw against LSU. I'll just see the numbers when they come out. I'll watch the video, and then I'll analyze it when the game's over for you here and then on LouisianaSports.net. But, I'm not going to go over Southern's pitching staff. Not worth anybody's time. But my guess is they will throw somebody today that throws in the low 80s. That's just my guess. And I'm guessing that Cade Arambidi saw plenty of that 12 months ago in Houston high school baseball. So he'll take the spot behind the dish today. Now, who's pitching? That was really the biggest question because LSU used 12 pitchers over the weekend. You saw 10 of them top 95 miles an hour. You know all the numbers, 45 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 runs allowed. Neither were driven in. One scored on a wild pitch. One scored on a steal of home on a double steal play. It was a phenomenal weekend, pitching-wise, from the numbers and the video, and everything was great. Who gets the ball today? Well, you figure probably one of the 3 guys that didn't take the ball, that you figure will take the ball as the season goes on, that didn't over the weekend. That's Gavin Guidry, that's Connor Ware, and that's Zach Cowan. Guidry, of course, been here for 2 years, done a lot of bullpen work, has been stretched out, candidate to start potentially. Cowan was a starter and the ace for Wofford last year. Threw a lot of innings, over 100, chewed up Friday nights, won a lot of games, got a lot of strikeouts. Great year. And then you got Connor Ware, who we've been talking about for really 5 months now, since he came out there in the fall and really dominated LSU's hitters from start to finish in fall baseball. And Connor Ware is the guy that's going to get the baseball in this game. And I'm excited to watch it. I think that I don't know this. This is me speculating. I think that if LSU would have gotten into a tight game Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you may have seen Guidry or Ware in that game. But as it worked out, LSU's offense erupted. Starting pitching was very good. All of them went 5 innings, and you separated yourself from on the scoreboard over the final 4 innings of those games, and you were able to get some freshmen some time in a low-leverage spot. You feel like you don't need to ease Guidry in. You may not think you need to ease Ware in. And certainly Cowan's pitched a lot of baseball against that level of competition. It's a new setting for him, but same deal. Ware didn't get in any of these instances, so here, let's start. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see Connor Ware go 3 innings today, to go maybe 4 innings today. You got 2 midweek games this week. You got Southern today, then you're at Nichols tomorrow. So you got 18 innings to work in the midweek, and then a couple days off before you, well, I guess 1 day off before you get ready to go play on a Friday afternoon. And so I think that there is going to be some opportunity for some guys to go 3-4 innings. They'll have your guys that come in and out, give you your 1 inning, let it loose. The guys that you feel like are maybe bullpen guys, maybe binge. But I'm excited to watch Ware today. If you have not seen him, you're going to see a fastball in the low 90s. He's not one of these guys that's 98, 99. Like, that's not in his repertoire. If it was, he wouldn't be here. From the left side, starting in JUCO, though in 98, 99, he'd be on a professional team. He's going to be closer to 91, 92. He may bump up to 93, 94, but he throws a changeup that's really good. He spins 2 breaking balls that are very good. He just knows how to pitch. And it's a repeatable left-handed delivery. It's smooth. It's comfortable. There's a lot of command there, and this was an interesting comment. I can't even now remember which pitcher said. I think it may have been Cade Anderson that said it over the weekend. I can't quite remember. But the quote was, I try to make it as boring as possible when I'm out there. I think it was Cade Anderson. Connor Ware is really boring when he's out there. Like, this is not like Zach Hess marching around the mound, slinging it 98, snapping off the sliders. This is a guy that gets the baseball, gets into that smooth release, boom, pump strikes. Boom, fades that changeup. Creates a weak ground ball to third. Gets a strikeout. He's ahead again, 0-2. Like, he knows how to get ahead in the count and make pitches. And so I believe that Connor Ware is going to factor in the bullpen for this season. I still think that strongly. But today they want to get him out there in a controlled environment. They know what the score is going to be when he goes out there. They know what time he's going to go out there. They know how long he's got to warm up. This is a very controlled environment. You send him out there, you see what he can do. If he goes one inning and comes out, I won't be stunned. I would imagine it'll be closer to 3 because he is one of the guys that Jay Johnson did stretch out, that Yesky did stretch out over the last 6 weeks. So Connor Ware will get the start today. It's LSU and Southern. You can listen to it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Certainly stream it on SEC Network Plus. We'll leave baseball in the rearview mirror in hour 2 and talk about the Saints and LSU football, and we'll talk to Kurt Schilling as well. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball coming up with Glenn West in 20 minutes. So get ready for LSU and Southern this afternoon at 2 o'clock. When we come back, Kellen Moore is doing a lot of hiring on one side of the baseball. We'll talk about that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car that is online is on the lot. Every car that is on the lot is online, and you can find them at genesisofbatonrouge.com. You may not think Genesis when you're thinking about getting a new car, and that's not your fault. Genesis hadn't been around that long. They've only been at their location, their airline in Piku, for about 2 years now. But when I say luxury vehicle, there are probably some brands that pop into your mind that have been there a little bit longer. That's fine, but just toss Genesis into that group. Go see them. Just see the difference. They got tons of vehicles in that line. Starts with those entry level all the way up to the highest end, and the safety features don't change. Those baseline safety features are non-negotiable for Genesis. So if we want the sedan, they got it. You want the full-size SUV, they got it. It's all there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can start your process online at genesisofbatonrouge.com, but as always, invite you to go by the dealership. Airline at Piku across from Women's Hospital. Phenomenal facility, incredible line of vehicles. See the difference today. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
We'll talk baseball with Glenn West as well as some basketball here in 15 minutes. I do have to share this. I was going to leave LSU Southern in the rearview mirror after that segment. I feel like we kind of covered the lineup and what we're looking for today. I have to mention Southern's starting pitcher's name because it's phenomenal and timely in terms of our, sponsor here. Their starting pitcher is left-handed, which gives you reason why you've got Dickinson in the 4-hole, Fry at DH. Also, his name, Genesis Prosper. I like it. I like a Genesis of Baton Rouge.
That's pretty good. He pitched one inning. He's pitched one inning this year. Last year he pitched 14 innings and had an ERA of 10.43. He is 6'2", 175. Went to St. Aug.
Okay. Well, I'm pulling for Genesis. I hope he has a heck of a day. I hope he also offers a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty as well.
That would be nice.
I believe that in the rearview mirror. Genesis Prosser taking the bump for Southern here in about an hour out at the box. Kellen Moore not wasting a ton of time getting that staff put into place. And it's very, very obvious what Kellen Moore's strategy is right from the start. Because we're seeing these hires being reported, and there's a common theme. He's got Scott Tolzien coming in, presumably to coach quarterbacks. He was quarterbacks coach with Kellen Moore in Dallas and has been in the NFL as a player or coach since 2011. But he's presumably coming in to coach quarterbacks under Kellen Moore. TJ Paganetti. He's a guy that we don't have a position for yet, but he's been the Eagles' offensive line coach assistant since 2017, been with that organization more than a decade on the offensive line side of things with the run game. He's going to join Kellen Moore in New Orleans. Joel Thomas, who, if that name sounds familiar, it should, was with the Saints as a running backs coach from 2015 to 2023. He's coming back to New Orleans to work with Kellen Moore. The first two guys I mentioned, Tolzien and Paganetti, have previous relationships with Kellen Moore. Thomas, previous relationships with Alvin Kamara and the Saints running back room. But the more important tie that all these guys have is their offensive coaches. Very clearly, Kellen Moore took that job and goes, okay, before I try to build this house, I'm going to make sure that my current situation is stable. And by that, I mean his offense. The offense is his corner of the store. The offense is his room, okay? So he's going to make sure that everything is in place on the offense, and then he will go select his defensive coordinator and work with that defensive coordinator who's going to have control of that side of the football to fill out the rest of that staff. That much is very obvious because you're seeing more coaches, like you're seeing Doug Nussmeier's name being surfaced. And that's not like from a week ago. That's like today saying that they expect that Doug Nussmeier will be the offensive coordinator. But again, that's offense. I don't see really much of any speculation or reporting as of who the defensive coordinator is going to be. Of course, Brandon Staley's name has been brought up, but it's not like we're seeing that he's expected to be named, which is what we're seeing across the board on all these positions on the offense. Kellen Moore's got a plan here, and I like this. I think this makes a ton of sense. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can give you the merits of Scott Tolzien as a quarterback coach. He's done it for a couple of years in Dallas. One of those years, Dak Prescott pretty much missed the whole year. So, like, I'm not that's a waste of my time to sit here and try, and your time for me to sit here and try to break down how well Scott Tolzien handles the quarterbacks. But Kellen Moore's worked with him and feels good enough about it to bring him over. TJ Paganetti, I can tell you, is a guy that everyone in Philly that is seeing this news is surprised he's moving on. That's someone that the Eagles absolutely have prioritized. That's someone they feel has been impactful with them. We all know how good the Eagles were running the football this year. Saquon Barkley nearly set a regular season record. And I can't sit here and tell you what Paganetti's impact was on that particular season. I think Saquon Barkley's a pretty damn good running back. But I know that the Eagles have valued him enough to keep him around a long time. And I know that the people that cover the Eagles are surprised that Kellen Moore was able to lure him to New Orleans. And I'll tell you this, one thing I like to look at when hires are made is what are the folks saying in the place where that person left. And in this instance, you're seeing a lot of, oh, wow, didn't see that coming. So that's, to me, a positive. That's the only thing I can really read from that. And then Joel Thomas, very, very, very much respected by the New Orleans Saints organization. When Clint Kubiak came in, he kind of wanted to do his thing. And at that point, if you're Dennis Allen, you got to let him do his thing because you're foundering on offense. And so you brought Clint Kubiak in, and he got to do his thing. But this is a guy in Joel Thomas that was spent a lot of time with the New Orleans Saints, coached Mark Ingram, coached Alvin Kamara, worked under Sean Payton, worked under Dennis Allen, and he's got a real connection to the city. I was interested. I was reading some of the tweets when Thomas was hired or reported he was going to be hired, and Luke Johnson, our buddy who we'll talk to on Thursday, said, yeah, like he comes back to Mardi Gras every single year. I'm sure he's going to be here, and now he can come for Mardi Gras and move into his house again. So that's a guy with ties to the organization. I think that's usually a little bit more important from a college perspective to get kind of somebody on the staff that has a feel for how to recruit to the area. That's not necessarily as big a deal in New Orleans, but I do think if you've got a coach in this instance that has worked with players for a long time, and in Alvin Kamara's case he has, that just makes a lot of sense. I think it's going to be a very, very comfortable landing spot for Joel Thomas. So as I said on Monday, as I said at the end of last week, I'm not as concerned with the offensive hires that Kellen Moore makes because that's his baby and he's going to do that his way. And his track record suggests that the Saints should be well coached on offense. Notice I didn't say uber productive. I didn't say they would be phenomenal on offense. They would be a high octane offense. I didn't say any of that. I think they'll be well coached on offense. They got work to do from a personnel perspective to be a great offense. But if Kellen Moore can't get the offense to click, then it's not going to work anyway. The question is, can you get the other side of the ball correct? And it appears to me, which is what he should be doing, he's going to take care of his room first, and then we'll go across the hall, and we'll get that figured out. And if it's Brandon Staley, and they kind of know that, he can start planting some seeds elsewhere as to who he'd like to have come in and be that guy, great. If it's somebody else, great. I'll react to that when that time comes. But if you're looking for information on how this is all shaking out, you can absolutely do that at LouisianaSports.net. Ross is doing a great job of breaking it all down. Scott Tolzien expected to come in and work with quarterbacks. You would think Doug Nussmeier probably going to be the guy to come in and be the offensive coordinator, which will not be the play caller. Kellen Moore will do that. So those two guys mainly will deal with the quarterback and the passing game. Then up front, you're looking at TJ Paganetti and maybe another assistant coach that they want to bring in. We're not sure what that role is going to look like. And then Joel Thomas going to handle running back. Still got to deal with tight ends and wide receivers. And then you can kind of turn your identity to the defensive side of the ball. And I'm very, very, very curious. Here's what I'll say. You've heard this segment, me talking about what Kellen Moore's done on the offense. It's been pretty tepid. Like, it's kind of like, okay, here's what he's got. Looks pretty good. Fine. That's kind of what I'm looking for, like, on the offense. I think that my discussion on the defensive coordinator hire and the defensive staff that is brought in will probably be more pointed because I just think it's more impactful. the Kellen Moore era, in my opinion, is not going to be defined by the offense. I think the offense will be a constant. I think it'll be good. Likely, on the on-field, from an on-field perspective, that era will be defined on how well he can continue to handle the defense, because that's where there's going to be the most variability. And, of course, that all starts with the players and the personnel that you stock the shelves with, and then you assess the results after that. Nobody's going to be able to coach a team that has a bunch of guys who are in their mid-upper 30s that are hurt all the time. So that's not worth evaluating. But once you get the proper personnel in place, and we feel like Kellen Moore will do that on the offensive side, and then we'll see what happens on defense, that's where the variability is going to come in. That's where you'll determine what this era of Saints football is going to look like. So right now, looks like a guy that has a plan. Looks like that plan's been put into place pretty quickly. Looks like it's been pretty effective. Looks like he's putting together an offensive staff with good amount of pace here. What comes on the other side of the ball and how quickly? You hope by the middle of next week, when you can go ahead and get to the combine and you can determine what you're looking for to restock the shelves and reshape this roster, because that's what's got to happen for the New Orleans Saints, quick, fast, and in a hurry. This is what it is. Looking for Saints coverage? I mentioned LouisianaSports.net. You can always find our Saints coverage as well at Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcasts. No matter where, to search Hunt on Saints, all year round. YouTube, you can find us there as well. If you like, subscribe, rate, and review, we always very much appreciate that. Helps us get our content in front of as many people as possible, and we appreciate y'all's help with all of that. All right, half the hour down. Hour number one. Getting you ready for LSU and Southern from the box, as well as LSU and South Carolina. 8 o'clock tip tonight in the PMAC. We'll do that with Glenn West, senior writer of Go 24/7, when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. Weather's going to warm up. It's going to be springtime, one of my favorite times of the year in South Louisiana. A lot of great opportunity to hang out outside, whether it's crawfish boils, if you've got a pool, an outdoor kitchen situation, or just like us, you got a swing set in the backyard and you just like to hang out there. Well, it's better to hang out there if you've got sound system. Better to hang out there if you've got a television. If you need surround sound, you need a television put into your outdoor area, Mitchell Fisher and his team are happy to do that. They handle the audio, they handle the video, they can handle all the equipment. And I'll tell you this, the customer service after that installation is phenomenal. That's the beauty of working with that small local company. You'll get a relationship with Mitchell, as we do. He can come over and make sure all of your issues are put to bed very, very quickly, as he's done for us over the 1 year that we've now lived at the new house. It's Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions. They're at Instagram at AVSS_BR. You can always find them online at AVSSLA.com. Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com.
Need service now? Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you same-day appointments for service, and we offer pickup and delivery of your vehicle from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. If you need sales and service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Busy day on campus, 30 minutes from first pitch, LSU and Southern, and I guess, let's see if I can do some math here. 6 hours and 30 minutes? Yeah, 6 hours, 29 minutes from tip-off between LSU and South Carolina in the PMAC. Glenn West covering all of it for Go 24/7. He's a senior writer there. He joins us every Tuesday. Glenn, how are you?
Doing great, Hunt. Happy to be back in the swing of baseball season, as I know you are.
Yes, very much so. It was a great weekend out at the box. Had good enough weather for an opening weekend. I've certainly seen a lot worse, and we saw a lot of good play from LSU. I know that we don't think that Purdue-Fort Wayne's headed directly for Omaha this year, but LSU handled its business. Was there I know the aspect of the pitchers throwing a lot of strikes was what everybody was talking about. Was there a player that you enjoyed watching for the first time in a regular season game over the weekend?
Yeah, I think there were a few for me. I mean, on the pitching side, William Schmidt, getting to watch him on Sunday was pretty exciting. I mean, we'd heard so much about the freshmen and really all the freshman pitchers. I thought was one of my biggest takeaways for all four of those guys to put up zeros in their innings. I think they allowed one hit combined, and they struck out like 9 or 10 guys and didn't walk anybody. I mean, to have that composure as a freshman in your debut for all four of those guys, I thought was really, really impressive. And on the position player side, certainly Derek Curiel was one that we were waiting to see, and was very excited to see him. And I thought he really handled himself extremely well. Took really good at bats. Was obviously all over the place in the outfield. Chris Stanfield in center field, I thought had a really nice weekend, just in his debut as the starting center fielder, and somebody that had built a lot of momentum, I think, here, particularly over the last month or so, preseason scrimmages. So it was nice to see him carry that out and get on base pretty consistently in that leadoff spot. So those were a few. Certainly, I think a couple things we're going to be watching here is just kind of how they continue to divide up the playing time with that other outfield spot and the DH in terms of which two guys are going to be in the starting lineup. I would imagine that they rotate guys in throughout the games and whatnot like they did this last weekend. But certainly those two spots I think are still very much up for grabs in terms of the consistency with which those players are going to be out there.
Yeah, today's Josh Pearson in right, and then you see Ethan Fry in the DH spot with a left-hander on the mound for Southern. Surprised at all that Ashton Larson did not start today?
I mean, it's surprise is maybe a little bit of a strong word, just because I think all these guys are going to play a lot here, but Ashton Larson had a really nice game on Sunday in his first start of the season. He obviously pinch hit several times in the first two games as well, and put together some really good at bats. I mean, I think if he keeps swinging the bat like that, he's going to be very hard to take off the field. But they really want to work in a lot of these other players to see if they can do it consistently as he showed over the weekend. And I think a game like this is a good time to trot out an Ethan Fry and a Josh Pearson, and just to see if those two guys can continue to have some consistency, because you're going to need more than just the 9 when you get to SEC play. You're going to need some other players to really step up in rotational roles and pinch hit moments. And I think that's the kind of stuff that Jay Johnson really wants to find out here over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
You see anything from the catchers over the weekend? They were kind of under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Luis Hernandez did a really nice job behind the plate defensively. I mean, I can't say that any of them really showed me much offensively. They took some good at bats. I think maybe Hernandez got a hit. I can't exactly remember, but I thought he looked pretty comfortable behind the plate. Made a nice play on a pop up where he made a play right there by the LSU dugout and was able to track that down. So I think what you're looking for is just consistency behind the plate defensively, because I do think LSU's going to have enough offense, this year without needing the catcher to blast 12, 13 home runs and hit for 300. Like, I think they can survive if the catcher is maybe a little bit under in that batting average perspective. So I thought they looked good. Blaze Priester got in there a little bit too, but I think what we saw, at least, it's going to be Hernandez and Aaron Beatty at least a lot to start the year.
All right, we haven't talked about the starting pitching. I want to talk first about Cade Anderson. He got the ball on Friday. Your impressions?
Yeah, immediately I wrote a piece about him the next day, and I threw the word ace out there, and I got some pushback from our guys on our message board at 24/7 for maybe that being too strong of a word after one start, and I can certainly see that. But I think probably the biggest thing for me, just the mindset, the demeanor that he has on the mound. He compared it to Luke Holman last year. Jay Johnson thought that was an excellent comp for him in terms of the consistency with which he carries himself on the mound, and he just throws a ton of strikes. I mean, he's going to pound the strike zone from the left side. He's going to get a fastball up to 93, probably still, kind of be in that 91 to 93 range. But when you can mix it with a really strong slider, a good curveball, I think he has a changeup as well. When he's mixing his pitches the way that he does, I think he's going to be a really consistent piece for LSU, and he has the kind of mindset that I think you want in that Friday role. So I thought I was extremely impressed with him. He got into a jam, I think, in the 3rd or 4th inning of his start, allowed a couple guys on with no outs and was able to get out of it lickety split. So I think he's only going to continue to build and get better with this first start. And, I think he's not going to relinquish control of that Friday role here going forward.
Ianson gave up more hits than Anderson and Shores did, but he also limited damage. What did you make of his Saturday outing?
Yeah, I hadn't seen a whole ton of Ianson, to be quite honest with you, this offseason. I'm going back to the fall even. I think I saw him pitch maybe once or twice in totality. So it was really nice to see him. I mean, that curveball has some really good movement to it. I think it's 78, 79 miles an hour. And you're right. He was hit a little bit early on in his outing, but I think he kind of really got it under control and was able to really come through, I think, in for the majority of his outing with just getting guys out and making the right pitches when he needed to. So I think he's somebody that's going to continue to be a starter here in the short term, and we'll see if he can kind of hold on to that spot.
And then Shea Shores made his return after, 22 months away from pitching. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's electric. I mean, there's nobody on this staff that has the ceiling that he does, and he was mixing his 97, 98 mile an hour fastball with a really strong slider there that got up to 85, 86 miles an hour on Sunday. And, whether it's Purdue Fort Wayne or whether it's Tennessee in the middle of the season, that's going to be really hard to deal with if he's throwing both of those pitches for strikes. And that was really good to see so early in his outing. I think just as a pitching staff as a whole, I think the fact that, not even just the numbers that they put up, the fact that they were putting the ball over the plate so consistently as a staff, I think was something that is really impressive, especially for an opening weekend when you're just, you're trying to figure some stuff out and you're probably not what you're going to be as a player in terms of having all your appearances underneath your belt. So for all those guys to go out there and throw strikes and not put guys on base for free passes, I thought was really important.
Glenn West, our guy, senior writer over at Go 24/7. All your team coverage you can find over there at Go 24/7, as well as your recruiting, all 3 sports. Let's talk basketball tonight. PMAC South Carolina comes in winless in league play. LSU coming off a miraculous win on Saturday against Oklahoma up in Norman. Let's go back to Saturday first. Your impressions of the end of that game where Cam Carter kind of put the team on his back.
Yeah, shout out Cam Carter. I mean, the last 6 minutes, I think LSU was down 13 points at one point, and they just kept, chipping away at it. And, I think it started with Damian Collins, who had a really nice second half. And, he had a couple poor fouls there towards the end of that game that cost him the opportunity to finish that one out. But I thought they really started to get going offensively with him, attacking the rim. He had a couple outside jump shots and made some nice finishes around the rim. And then Cam Carter just took it over down the stretch. I mean, just in terms of a single effort, I don't know that there's been a better one in the Matt McMahon era in terms of a single player carrying a team to a win. He was extremely consistent, making all kinds of crazy shots. And then obviously to get that 4-point play there. And then for Curtis Givens, the freshman, to have the awareness to get the steal and then immediately look for Cam Carter. I think the gut reaction in that moment would be, okay, I got the ball, let me go make a play. But no, he was looking for the guy that had the hot hand and got it to him. And Cam Carter made a really nice play, and they got out of there with a win. I mean, it was a much needed thing for this group that's been through a lot and obviously struggled through SEC play to finish the game out with a 5-guard lineup because all their bigs were either hurt or fouled out, to overcome that adversity, overcome the double-digit adversity in the second half. I thought was really important and just in terms of saving some of the mindset and the morale, I guess, of this team at this late stage in the season.
I've thought about how to ask this question. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Is there a chance they can beat South Carolina by 12 or 15 points tonight?
I would say yes. I mean, South Carolina hasn't shown you much either in terms of being able to go anywhere and get a win in the SEC. So, look, I mean, I think you can use this momentum and kind of try to figure things out and kind of build on it. But, look, I think they're going to need a team effort for that stuff to happen. I mean, we've seen it this year. Like, they're not a team that has been able to show consistently that they can compete with the best in this conference. And South Carolina is not the best in this conference, but neither is LSU. So we've got to see what this team can look like against a team that they're supposed to beat or supposed to maybe have an advantage over. So yeah, I think they could, but it's going to come down to a lot of some of the issues that they've had this year. Can they hold on to the ball, not turn it over? Can they hit some shots from the outside and get rebounds on a consistent basis on both the offensive and defensive glass?
3 straight games where LSU has exactly 9 turnovers. And we know it's been such a problem all year. Have you seen anything different? Any reason why they've been able to hold on to the ball a little bit better?
I think they're just being smarter about how they want to go about using their offense. I mean, I think they're shooting a lot more threes over these last 3 or 4 games. I mean, that's been a healthy diet of 3-point shooting. And, when you're not, driving it into traffic as much in the lane and trying to kick it out for open shots or just trying to finish around the rim, it maybe leads you to some opportunities to not turn the ball over as much. But I think it really just comes down to the guys just taking better care of the ball. And, you've seen LSU run out Curtis Givens a lot more. You've seen the ball in Cam Carter's hands a lot more. And look, I think they've got to find ways to get the ball into the hands of the guys that are not going to turn the ball over. And, look, I hate to pick on one guy, but Jordan Sears only played 10 minutes in that game on Saturday. So he's been one of their best scorers, but he's also been somebody that's been turnover prone at times in SEC play. So I think just focusing in on the guys that, are going to take better care of the ball and initiate some good offense and get shots up at the very least is all you can really ask for from this team at this point.
Busy 10 hours coming up for you. We'll let you get to it. We appreciate some time, Glenn.
All right, Hunt. Thanks. Take care.
Glenn West, senior writer over there at Go 24/7. We'll have a story up for baseball coming up at 2 o'clock. We'll have a story for basketball this evening coming up at 8 o'clock. I've also got previews of both of those games. If you want to read the baseball preview, I would go right now because the game starts in 16 minutes. So it's at LouisianaSports.net, but the basketball preview is also up there as well. Ross Jackson got you covered with all of your Saints hirings as they become reported and are up there on social media world. So LouisianaSports.net, always free. It's always right there for you, LouisianaSports.net. Come back. We'll close out the hour. LSU basketball lost a player yesterday. What does that mean, and what does it mean for the football team? That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. They can do a full-scale bathroom renovation. If you're in an older home and you're noticing that there's some leaking, you're noticing that there's some rusting, maybe there's molding, maybe there's just an issue that you can't fix anymore, and you need a whole bathroom renovation, they can do it at One Bath and Closets. They've got a master plumber right there that they have access to, and David Duvall will handle it from soup to nuts, the entire deal. But it doesn't always have to be something that labor-intensive. It can be something as simple as a tub-to-shower conversion that can be done quickly and affordably. You don't ever use your bathtub. Well, why do you have it? Get rid of it. Take the tub out, put in a glass walk-in shower, change the aesthetic of your bathroom, change the functionality of your bathroom, add some value to your home, and make it more beautiful. David Duvall and his team are happy to help you with that. It all starts with a free consultation. You can find him at OneBathAndClosets.com. He'll come on out. He'll tell you what they can do, get you some pricing, financing's available, see what you qualify for. Get that show on the road. It's One Bath and Closets. Check out the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. OneBathAndClosets.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. Need service now? Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you same-day appointments for service, and we offer pickup and delivery of your vehicle from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. If you need sales and service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1 here. Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. I mentioned we got a ton to do in hour number 2. We will preview LSU and South Carolina a little bit more in depth here in about 10 minutes. Sharie Aack, WDSU, is going to join us at 2:15 to talk about the Saints and all the hirings that they're making down there. And then Kurt Schilling, Major League Baseball legend, going to be with us at 2:30. Thought we were going to have a chance to catch up with Kurt last week at the Super Bowl, but turns out that did not work out. He reached back out to us and was like, hey, we can do that again. So we set it up. We got it going on today at 2:30, so we'll talk to Kurt Schilling about the World War II Museum, which he's really passionate about, but as well as his playing career in Major League Baseball. We got word yesterday that Trey Green is going to step away from the basketball program to focus on academics. This was a decision that was made after a meeting between Trey Green and Brian Kelly, and they're kind of looking at where things stand. And this makes a ton of sense, obviously. Trey Green, I know for a fact, wants to play basketball. He told us in a midweek media session on a Tuesday at Football Ops, like, my first love was always basketball. And I went out for one football game, and I played one football game, and I got an offer from Houston to go play football, and then got more, and all of a sudden he started garnering a lot of conversation as a football player. But his first love is what has always been basketball. He's a great high school player, and he wanted to go play for LSU this year. And the football program said, okay, go do it. So he joined the team very late in conference play, and he went out there, and he did some athletic stuff. Of course, the Alabama game will come to mind, where he goes and blocks the shot and then runs it out and dunks it. He helped him a little bit on the glass when they were really struggling there. But it's not like he's had an immense impact here. You're talking about a guy who's played 6 games. Over the course of those 6 games, he's 5 of 12 shooting. That's 42%. Missed all 4 of his threes. He shot 3 threes in that Auburn game, and I was sitting in the press row going, I think we got to rein it back just a little bit, Trey. It's playing the number 1 team in the country. Maybe don't chuck up 3 threes in the first half. But he was 0 for 4 from the three-point line, 1 of 2 on free throws. He got 10 rebounds and scored 11 points in 6 games. That's an average of 1.8 points per game and 1.7 rebounds per game. Yeah, it might be nice to have him tonight because you realize that Jalen Reed is out for the season. Damian Collins has separated his shoulder. He's probable to come back. Corey Chess is dealing with back spasms. So, your front court numbers are bad in this game. And so it might help to have him. But the point being here, Trey Green has got an NFL future. He's got a future as a key piece to the LSU passing game. And he's just another guy on the basketball court. This is something that's very obvious. Everyone that's talked about this has said the same thing, but it bears repeating. At 6'7", 245 pounds, you're just Joe Wing player in the SEC. At 6'7", 245 pounds at tight end, you're the most difficult matchup on the field for some defenses. Big difference. And so it makes a lot. I don't know what Trey Dez's academic situation is, what classes he's in, what his grades are, what the time constraints are. I do know this. In-season basketball travel is very difficult on the student athlete. You're talking about 6 and 8 o'clock games on the road on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Those 8 o'clock games don't end until 10:30. You're not getting to the airport until midnight. You take the 3-hour flight back home. You land at 3. You got to drive into campus. You don't have an opportunity to go to sleep till 4:30 in the morning. And then you've got workouts in class and study hall and all the kind of things that's really difficult. And then you've got to get ready for another game, and you got to play that on Saturday. And it's just a lot. And while a lot of these guys on the basketball team have been working really hard since the summer, they weren't doing a football season that dates back to August that's that physical. And Trey Green in December was taking all the reps at tight end and beating himself senseless in practices trying to work on blocking because Mason Taylor was opting out of the bowl game, and he was the only tight end they had left. And then he went into the basketball season is doing all that. So it's just a lot to ask of a young person on your body, on your time, on your concentration, and all that. I'm just talking about sports, much less what goes on in the classroom. And you're looking at LSU, and your a conference record is what it is. You're 2-10. You're not going to the Final Four. You're not competing for championships. You're kind of playing out the string. And I know they all want to win the game tonight, and I hope they win the game tonight. I know they all want to win as many games as they can, but we know what this basketball team is. And so for Trey Green to to risk himself and to compromise his ability to prep for spring football and to get his academics in order to go out there and do this for a point and a rebound a game for a 2-10 league team, probably not the best idea. I think we can all agree on that. And that's without any information as to what his grades are, what his course load is, what his management is. I don't know any of that. But I feel like this is just the right decision for Trey and honestly in the best interest of LSU athletics as a whole. These guys are going to do what they do on the basketball court with or without Trey Green. Again, with the depth and issues they've got, it would make sense for him to be out there, but that's the small picture. We're looking big picture. This is a guy who needs to be in the classroom, needs to be ready for spring football, needs to be ready to play more in blocking situations, needs to be ready to be a force for LSU in the passing game next year. You saw in the bowl game, he's got that stuff. You need to see it come Labor Day that he's still got that stuff. So it's fun to watch a football player go out there and be a freak athlete on the basketball court, but we know where he needs to be, and that's on the football field, and that's where he's going to be next when they come back in spring football. So it'll be no Trey Green for LSU, very likely the rest of the way in this basketball season, unless something were to change. So that's a look at our number one. Appreciate you hanging out with us. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand. Of course, you're going to be dated here pretty quickly because at the top of the show, we talked about LSU's baseball lineup, and they're going to throw the first pitch in 4 minutes. So you might want to go back and listen to that one real quick if you haven't. You also talked a little bit of basketball and baseball with Glenn West. So go catch that on demand. We'll come back, talk some basketball after Sports Center on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. One of the key parts of this NFL offseason starts today with the franchise tag window opening an hour from now. Bengals likely will use the tag on receiver T. Higgins for a second straight year if the sides don't work out a long-term contract by March 4th, the deadline. Cincinnati is aiming this offseason to sign receiver Jamar Chase, defensive end Trey Hendrickson, and Higgins long-term. ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter.
I don't know how you pay Joe Burrow in the 50s and Jamar Chase 40, and T. Higgins is going to play on a franchise tag for 26 on the second franchise tag, and then Trey Hendrickson takes a modest raise. They have some decent cap space going in. I just think it's probably hard to do all of those things.
Adam Schefter on Unsportsmanlike. David Shaw is returning to coaching for the first time since serving as Stanford's head coach for 11 seasons. He's been hired as the Lions' passing game coordinator. On the ice, Team USA and Boston Bruins defenseman Charlie McAvoy with an upper body injury won't play in the Four Nations Face-Off Championship game Thursday versus Canada, 8 Eastern ESPN. Vancouver's Quinn Hughes replaces him on the roster.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Wednesday. We are weeks away from free agency in the NFL, but it's never too early to tell you the best landing spots for the best available players. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Sharie Aack in 15 minutes talking Saints. Kurt Schilling, MLB legend, will be with us at the bottom of the hour. LSU and Southern about to get underway out at Alec Box Stadium. We'll keep you updated as we move forward. If you'd like to listen to that, you can on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. If you want to hang out here, we appreciate that very much as well. LSU and South Carolina tonight from the PMAC, 8 o'clock tip-off. These two teams had a rough go. LSU's 2-10 in the league. South Carolina is 0-12. You put those together, my math's not great, but that's 2-22 in 24 conference games. You know what's interesting, though? We know what LSU did in the pre-conference. We know that they beat Florida State. We know that they beat Kansas State on the road. We know that they beat Central Florida. We know that they didn't stub their toe against some bad teams. Yeah, I mean, Pitt's not great, and you got beat, and yeah, it was disappointing not to win at SMU, but they've had a pretty good go in ACC play. But LSU was pretty decent in the non-conference. Another 2-10. South Carolina was pretty decent in the non-conference. I promise. South Carolina beat Virginia Tech away from Columbia. It was a neutral site game. They won that game. Virginia Tech's 6-8 in ACC play, like middle of the pack. They beat Boston College. Now, Boston College is not good. They're 2-12 in the ACC. But they didn't win that game. And South Carolina beat Clemson in the non-conference. If you're not familiar, and I'm sure a lot of you probably aren't because I don't think a lot of you are locked in on national college basketball these days, Clemson's 13-2 in the ACC, and South Carolina beat them. And South Carolina can't win an SEC game. I know it doesn't make anyone in Columbia and certainly in Baton Rouge feel any better about their teams that are a combined 2-22 in league play. But, like, the fact remains that this league's just a monster. And if you're not really good, you lose. It's just what it is. And these two teams have lost a ton. Now, LSU got off the old schneid on Saturday by stealing one from Oklahoma. South Carolina hasn't found that yet. And trust me, South Carolina's gotten throttled a few times. Like, Mississippi State beat them by 25 points. Kentucky I think they beat them by 35, actually. Kentucky beat them by like 22. Florida beat them by 20. They've had some that got away. They've also had some heartbreakers. 7 of their 12 SEC losses, 7 of them have been by 5 or less points. That's a lot of times to be in a game and never come up on the right side. I'm not trying to make South Carolina sound like a great basketball team. I'm just laying out the actual statistics here. Now, when you look at them on paper, how they play versus what the scoreboards have read, it starts to make a little bit more sense. There are some statistics here for South Carolina that are very poor, and I really think there are some statistics here that favor LSU significantly. The only hesitation I have with LSU in this game is the health of Corey Chess and the health of Damian Collins. Because if those two guys are really compromised, you don't really have a front court. So I can't sit here and tell you I think LSU is going to run away with the game. I don't think that. But South Carolina is a good matchup for LSU. I'll tell you why. South Carolina's offensive efficiency rank is 250th in the country. They are not good on the offensive end. And while they're not good, they're also really slow. They're 242nd in the country in pace. They want to play things very monotonously. And I think LSU might be okay with that, quite frankly. We thought LSU wanted to get up and down the floor a lot early on, and they did. And then you kind of look at it now and go, that's probably not the best idea because you turn it over a ton when you do that. So part of South Carolina playing very slow, they don't take a lot of shots. They're 331st in the nation in field goal attempts per game. There are only 33 teams in the country that shoot less often than South Carolina at a 364. But here's one thing that they will do, and this is really has been their only proven way of scoring points, is getting to the free throw line. Like, that's really all they got. They've got 3 players on their roster that start that have shot 115 or more free throws on the season. For context there, Cam Carter leads LSU with 100. We feel like Cam Carter's got the ball a lot. They've got 3 guys that shoot more foul shots than Cam Carter does. They are 19th in the country in free throw attempts per game. Now, this is another one of those bad stats for South Carolina. I tell you in one breath that South Carolina is 19th in the country in free throw attempts per game, and they are. They're 260th in free throw percentage. So they get there a lot. They don't shoot it great from there, and that's a big problem. Now, we know what LSU's bugaboos have been, and certainly the defensive glass over the course of the entire season has been an issue. South Carolina doesn't hurt you there all that bad. They're 168th in the country in offensive rebounding percentage, so not very good. So their offense is slow. They don't shoot it very well. They shoot a lot of free throws. They don't shoot them that great. That's kind of the South Carolina offense. Defensively, they're 144th in the country in defensive efficiency. They're 207th in opposing shooting percentage, so teams have shot it pretty well. They're a good defensive rebounding team, but here's the number. Here's the metric. This is the one. Opponent turnover percentage. 282nd in the country, meaning they don't force a lot. If you're LSU, there's no reason to turn the ball over a lot against South Carolina. No team in the SEC turns teams over less frequently than South Carolina. And LSU has done a much better job of taking care of the ball the last 3 games. 9 turnovers against Oklahoma, 9 turnovers against Ole Miss, 9 turnovers in each of their last 3 games. So that's an improvement. They're getting better at it. They've got to do it again in this game. I would say this. If LSU can hold itself to 10 or fewer turnovers in this game, which they've done 3 games in a row. One's a win over Oklahoma. One's a close loss to Ole Miss. If they can keep it at 10, they'll win the game. The way LSU will lose this game is if they turn it over 17 or 18 times, which is not in South Carolina's playbook. Now, you look at this team from a personnel perspective, South Carolina, they've got Jamari Thomas as a point guard who averaged 13 a game. He's smaller, like Sears. He's 5'11". We'll see if Sears plays more or Givens plays more. You saw more of Givens in the game on Saturday. You've seen some Mike Williams play a little bit more. Jordan Sears played 10 minutes on Saturday and didn't score. So we'll see. But then they've got Colin Murray-Boyles, who is their best player. He's a wing. He's 6'7", 245 pounds. He leads the team in scoring at 15.5 a game. He leads the team in rebounds at 8.4. He's scored 20 or more points 7 times. He's a good player. Now, LSU's going to have to guard him and keep him off the free throw line. But this is the last time you'll have me sit here and say that I think LSU is going to win a basketball game this year. Because you look at the schedule and what's coming, and we all know that your odds of getting a win over the last 5 games, not real great. You're talking about playing 3 top 10 teams. You're talking about some road games. I don't feel good about you playing number 2 Florida, even in the Maravich Center. I don't feel great about you playing a Tennessee team that's in the top 15, even though that's in the Maravich Center. And then you got to go on the road to Mississippi State, who's played much better over the last game against Ole Miss. Then you're at Kentucky. Sorry, that's not going to go great. And then Texas A&M comes to the Maravich Center. A&M's good. They're just so unflashy that I sometimes sell them a little bit short, but they're good. So you're in the front of the front end of a 3-game homestand here with South Carolina, but Florida and Tennessee are the other two. That's going to be a little hairy. So you need to go ahead and take care of your business here. Now, you realize that South Carolina is going to come into this game thinking, well, this is a good shot for us to get a win here. If you're South Carolina, you're not stupid. You realize that on some nights you're playing Auburn, who's undefeated, and on some nights you're playing LSU, who's 2-10. Which night do you realize you've got a better chance to win a game? So you're going to get their best shot, I think. I expect this to be a pretty competitive game. I expect LSU to win the game because I think this is a great matchup. I don't think South Carolina is going to speed LSU up. I don't think South Carolina is going to turn LSU over a lot. I do think that LSU's defense, which has been pretty good in the half court, was great against Ole Miss for that whole game, was great against Oklahoma late in that game. I think that defense is going to hold a number 250 offensive efficiency team in South Carolina to a relatively low number of points. This game may be played in the 60s, but I think LSU is going to win it. And I think that that'll be a two-game winning streak for the Tigers before things get real tough with some of the best teams in college basketball over the last 3 weeks of the season. So that's your look at LSU and South Carolina tonight. It is at 8 o'clock in the Maravich Center. Connor Ware with a 1-2-3 inning for the Fighting Tiger baseball squad over there at the box. Tigers coming to bat up. It'll be 0-0 Southern and LSU over on Eagle 98.1 right now. Kurt Schilling will join us in 15 minutes. Sharie Aack talking Saints. That is next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. That's a pretty good gig. 3 years of complimentary maintenance. Pretty good gig. 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. You can't beat that. It's just incredible. It's just part of being a Genesis driver. Just give them a chance. That's all I asked. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, you're probably going to be on Airline Highway anyway. Might as well stop in right there across from Women's Hospital on Piku and just say, hey, heard about y'all on Hunt's show. What you got? And their brand ambassadors will help you from there. If you want to start your process a little more specifically than that, you can at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Their entire line is on the website. Look at the pictures, see all the bells and whistles, but you really need to get behind the wheel of a Genesis to understand the difference. Sleek, stylish, comfortable, and it's very safe. It's a luxury brand of vehicles at a reasonable price. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Get on by and see them Airline Highway at Piku or online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
It's a hit parade over there at the box. Started with Chris Stanfield, who reached. I'm not exactly sure how because I was still talking in the last segment, but Derek Curiel drove him in from second base. Bear Jones has ripped a laser through the left side. LSU's up 1-0 on Southern. In the bottom of the first inning, nobody out. Daniel Dickinson up with runners on first and third, so we'll keep you posted on scoring from that one between these two capital city universities, LSU and Southern, as we move forward in this hour. Sharie Aack down in New Orleans, covers the Hoodats for WDSU. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sharie, how are we doing?
Good, man. Hopefully we go to the College World Series 56-0.
I kind of doubt
or
it. I'm not an expert in these types of things, but I'm kind of thinking that's unlikely. But I hope they get as close as possible because that's a good thing. Let's talk Saints. Kellen Moore's had the job for a week now. Starting to see a lot of names on the offensive side surface as staff members, not so much on the defense. I talked about that in the first hour of the show here, saying, look, I think Kellen Moore took this job going, I'm going to get my house in order on this side of the ball, and then we'll figure out that side of the ball with whoever's going to run it for me when that time comes. Is that kind of how you see this working out?
Yeah, I think we're into the next piece we'll see, into that puzzle will be Doug Nussmeier, and he'll be the offensive coordinator. He's been alongside of Kellen Moore pretty much his entire career. So I'd say he'd be the offensive coordinator, then they shift things over to the defense. So I think Brandon Staley is probably the front runner to be the defensive coordinator. He'll let Staley build that entire staff. But that's the direction they're heading in. They're going to finish this offensive staff with Nussmeier and then go to defense, and I think it's going to be Staley.
Do you have another name for defense, or are all eyes kind of fixed on Staley?
I mean, it really does look like it's all on Staley. I mean, I understand that Durante Jones, I saw his name, a strong candidate. but I think it's Staley to me the whole way. I mean, it feels like just like Kellen Moore for 2 weeks we talked about him. It feels like for a week we've been talking about Nussmeier and Staley as the strong front runners for the OC and DC. So that's the direction it's trending in right now.
Let's get hyper-focused here as opposed to the entirety of the organization. Let's just talk about the offense. What's your confidence level in Kellen Moore and his ability to run the Saints offense during his time in New Orleans?
Well, it depends on how, what year you're asking me. This year, I think, it all depends on the quarterback. I mean, I truly, genuinely think he needs to find a dual threat quarterback to run his offense. Got to have a guy who can move the pocket, who can at least be a little elusive and throw the ball. So if you're asking me, that's 100% not Derek Carr. Now, will they keep him for one more year? Feels like if they do, they're going to have to keep him for 2 years. That's something you don't really want to do. So I'd say by year 2, year 3, I think the confidence level continues to grow with Kellen Moore, because that means more cap room, more draft picks, more of his players in that offense. And I think it's just going to take a couple years. That's just my opinion. It's not going to be overnight.
So you think there's a chance that Derek Carr is the quarterback in 2026?
If they restructure it in a funny way, look, it's a $51 million cap hit. They restructure it, and there's a way to restructure it down without doing too much. But then, you got to find a way to get under the cap. I mean, if they restructure it, you have to be careful how you restructure him, because if you restructure him too much, you're stuck with him for 2 years. So
I just can't imagine that would happen. That seems. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's possible, but I think that's the least likely scenario.
It is the least likely scenario. I think it's either yes or no for 1 year. I'm leaning towards the no, that he won't be back. That's just my gut, not in the inside information. My gut tells me it's a no. He wasn't around for Super Bowl week. Wasn't around for anything for the last 10 days. So it could be something personal, but I just think that, like, if you're asking me, Kellen, it's not his quarterback. It's Dennis Allen's quarterback. Kellen probably wants his own guy. Maybe they draft someone. Maybe they go find a Justin Fields or someone that can run the offense that he wants. So I just think that that's not his quarterback. He's not tied to having Derek Carr's quarterback. Yeah,
you took the name that was right on the tip of my tongue there. I mean, do you think the Saints go find a quote-unquote veteran, if you want to call Justin Fields a veteran at this point? You think they go find one of those to plug a gap? Do you think they try to find one as the future, and you hope you kind of lucked into something like Darnold last year? Like, where do you sense that they may go?
I think it's you have to probably, in my opinion, you avoid the draft. Avoid the draft as a whole. I just don't like any of the quarterbacks in this draft. I would search for like a young veteran. Like Justin Fields would be like somebody that you would chase down. I mean, you take a chance on a Joe Milton with the Patriots. You try to trade for him. Is he going to want to bring in Kenny Pickett, as a gap quarterback for like a year while they try to figure it out? Somebody. They're going to have to try to make a move at some point in time, whether it's signing someone or trading for someone that works in his offense. I think they're probably better off doing it in that fashion than trying to draft somebody, because I don't know if I want to pick Jackson Dart at number 9. And maybe I'm wrong about Jackson Dart. He turns into a good pro, but I'm not sure if I want to take that shot at number 9.
Is there any smoke around that possibility?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, look, Joel Thomas might have some influence on it. He coached him in the Senior Bowl. You never know. I mean, never know, they can change their minds. But at number 9, it just seems too rich, hon. I mean, man, you have a lot of needs on this team, and if you go Jackson Dart at number 9, you better be sure he's your quarterback of the future. And maybe they like him that much. But or me, I would be trading back. I would be trading back 5 or 6 slots, picking up picks in it. You do Dart at 15, 18, maybe I can understand a little bit more.
You mentioned Joel Thomas. That's a guy who spent a lot of time in the Saints organization, moved out for a year, and then appears to be on the way back. What does that mean for the Saints?
Alvin Kamara loves him. He's beloved here. Kubiak, it didn't work, and he just didn't want him on his offensive staff. So to have him back, he was here from 15 to 23, and I think he did well with the running backs. And just to have him back, I think it's good. I mean, it's continuity in terms of your running back room. So I think it's a plus. I know some people are going to be like, oh, now they're just letting Mickey Loomis dictate who Kellen Moore wants. I think Kellen Moore is probably asked for a little help, and he probably signed off on some of the guys that like Nugent and, Haslett's son. I signed off on it. He said, yeah, I know these guys. I've worked with these guys before, and I know them. So let's bring them in. I mean, Nugent was with the Chargers, Haslett, Cowboys. The only tie with Joel Thomas is in being with the Saints, so he probably said, hey, Joel's a good running backs coach. And he probably knows Joel, too. So I think that's the moves he decided to make.
Do you think they want to have the entire staff set up by the time they go to the Combine?
Yeah. You'd have to have the staff set up. I mean, it feels like by the end of this week, the whole staff is set up. If it's not done by, Thursday, tomorrow, between now and Thursday, I feel like you're going to get pretty much the entire staff before Combine next week.
Do you feel like the Saints, in having to wait as long as they did to hire Kellen Moore, who made it all the way to the Super Bowl, missed out on some potential coordinators or position coaches that were gobbled up because they were last in the cycle?
Sure, yeah, but that's just the price to pay. Your price you pay. You get a good head coach, who won a Super Bowl title, and that's just the price you pay. But it doesn't mean you can't still snag people off of other coaching staffs. I mean, that's still a possibility. I mean, that's just what you have to work with. And I think that when you're looking at some of the guys he's bringing in, some of the guys have ties to the Eagles that he's bringing in. So that's not a bad thing. Now let's see if he has any more guys that maybe he steals some defensive guys and brings them along. Maybe Staley, if it is, who I think should be, might bring some guys from Philly. It might bring some guys that were in LA with the Chargers. So, I mean, it's not always the worst case scenario, but I understand that waiting to the very end to name a coach can kind of hinder you a bit in the search of other coaches.
I'd like to ask you this question just because we're not quite there, but what's the reception in the city been like for Kellen Moore now that he's been there for a week?
I truly think they like it. It's outside the box. It's an offensive-minded coach. After being, having a defensive coach shoved down their throats for almost, 3 years, I think they, from the sense of things, they like it. I mean, they see somebody who's young, creative, innovative, open mind, have an open, mind when it comes to an offense. So, for the most part, from talking to fans, they love it. They love the hire. It's just something different. They wanted something different. They got something different. They got someone, who's coming from a winning franchise.
Sharif, we appreciate some time. We'll talk next week.
All right, Hunt. On to Omaha.
On to Omaha is right. Sharie Aack, WDSU, down there in New Orleans, covering all things Saints. Pell's always with us each and every Tuesday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate his insight on the black and gold. LSU pushed across 2 in the bottom of the first inning, so Tigers lead 2-0. Could have been worse, but a couple strikeouts and LSU not able to further their rally with 2 runners on base. Connor Ware back out for his second inning of work, and he's quickly got a couple of outs in the second. Chris Stanfield made a really nice diving catch moving in towards second base. So Connor Ware kind of dealing there. He's only thrown 14 pitches. I mentioned at the top of the show I thought that they'd probably like to get him to go 3 innings or so because he's been stretched out. You've got to play 18 innings over the next 2 days. You'd really like to have a couple of guys stretch out a little bit so you don't have to use 15 pitchers to go through 18 innings. And Connor Ware well on his way to doing that right now against the Southern Jaguars as he's gotten 5 outs in 14 pitches thus far. All right, we'll step aside when we come back. Very, very excited to chat with MLB legend Kurt Schilling. We'll do that when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. They're at the Highland Insurance Group. They're all about alternative solutions as far as your insurance programs go. And one of those is a captive program. If you are a business owner and you've got a large business and you spend a significant amount of money on your insurance annually and you've never explored a captive or had a captive brought to you by your agent, you're maybe missing an opportunity. It's a different approach to the insurance game. It's designed for those who do a great job in managing their risk to be able to pool money and ultimately save money on insurance, but it's got to be administered the right way, and you've got to be a right fit for that captive. If you've never been introduced to this type of insurance method, maybe the Highland Insurance Group is worth a phone call. Maybe you need to go to the website HighlandIG.com and reach out and say, hey, I'm spending a lot here. I think this may be something I want to look into. Jonathan Carbo and his team do this kind of stuff all the time, and they are happy to help you with all of it. So business owners, if you haven't seen a captive, check out the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com. Right here in Baton Rouge, it's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, chugging right along. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Of course, we were back in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago on Media Row for Super Bowl 59, and thought we were going to have an opportunity there to talk with Kurt Schilling, who was there on behalf of the World War II Museum. Didn't quite work out because it was a madhouse on that row for the entire week, but we're really appreciative that Kurt and his team reached out to us and made it happen a couple of weeks later. So it's our pleasure to welcome to the show man who recorded more than 3,000 strikeouts, won more than 200 games, a six-time All-Star, three-time World Series champ, and a World Series MVP, Major League Baseball legend Kurt Schilling joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Kurt, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, Hunt, what's going on, man?
Not a lot. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I'm curious. Yeah. We were on Media Row, and I talked to a lot of people that did talk to you that week. I know you did a ton of interviews.
Right.
And I had no idea your affinity for and relationship with the World War II Museum.
Yes.
Can you kind of catch us up on that and where that started?
Yep. So 25 years ago this year, June 6th, it opened. I was one of the original members of the board of directors there. A significant portion of my World War II collection resides in the museum as well. And it's been a passion of mine my entire life. I grew up a military brat. My dad was 101st Airborne during Korea. My whole family served. My youngest son is a United States Marine. So it's I always thought, and I think now, had I not been gifted with the right arm and the ability to precisely throw a baseball very hard, I think that would have been my chosen profession. So, and the museum, I don't know if you've had a chance to walk through it, and if you haven't, I'm going to have to smack you for it because it is. I've been around the world. I was actually in the Netherlands last year for the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Arnhem, and I got to tour museums and cemeteries all over the Netherlands and Eastern Europe. And here, for educational purposes, nothing in the world touches what's in New Orleans, and it's grown, and I'm incredibly proud to be associated with it. I hope the week of the Super Bowl that it got massive audiences because it certainly deserved to. And it's a bucket list item, honestly. I would tell you, for anybody that has history as an interest, it's a bucket list item.
No doubt. And you won't have to smack me because I have been to the World War II Museum a couple of times.
Right.
I have.
Yeah,
But you can smack me for this. My grandfather, who I knew until I was 12, he passed away when I was 12, but he served, was in the Pacific, was actually on a B-52 and was shot by one of the Japanese planes in the arm. And I saw the scar many times, but I never walked through it with him, which is a huge regret of mine. For those that haven't been, that are down here in South Louisiana, it's an easy drive for us. What are a couple of the aspects that you most appreciate?
The most powerful one for me is God bless technology. You know, when I was there, I had the honor and privilege of meeting and talking for an extended period of time with a 100-year-old World War II veteran who they were taking a living history from. And they have done that over the last 20 years. They've gone out and reached out, along with Tim Gray and the World War II Foundation. They've gone out and tried to memorialize these men and women with interviews, live interviews. And one of the interactive event exhibits there is that they sat down with a Congressional Medal of Honor winner and two other, a young lady who served. And because I don't think a lot of people understand the depth and the breadth with which women served in the Second World War because of all the fighting age males that had left. The production technology and all the things, the marvels that happened, a lot of that was because of the women of that era. But they interacted with these people to the extent it was a lengthy 4, 5, 6 hour interview, and they asked them hundreds of questions. So you can literally sit down, press a button, almost like your iPhone, and ask a question of these people who have since passed, and they will answer it. And it's just to hear them talk. Again, 17, 18, 19-year-old at most. It's just breathtaking to hear.
That's remarkable. I have not seen that, and it kind of gave me chills just to think about the technology that we can do there. We're chatting with Kurt Schilling, who's got a great relationship with the World War II Museum down in New Orleans. Had an opportunity to talk with a lot of folks on Media Row after they chatted with you. Did you give any thought of what you might have been interested in doing military service if you weren't a baseball player? That was something that I hadn't heard.
Given what I did for a living, I tried to be best of the best of the best in the world. I would have tried to be a SEAL or a Delta or somebody like that. That athletic mentality, in my mind, especially when you look at the Four Nations Canadian USA game with 3 fights in 9 seconds. It's all about being at the tip of the spear, right? Making a difference on the front end of things, and that's probably what I would have tried to do. I was too tall to be a pilot.
I see. And look, we had Paul Skeens down here as a pitcher. Obviously, he was at LSU, and I asked him, because he was at Air Force, and this was before he was really Paul Skeens, and I was like, you're like 6'7". I don't know if you were going to be fitting in a plane. He's like, I wasn't going to fly anything, but I was just going to help any way that I could.
Right. My dad was stationed at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona when I was like 11, and I went in and asked them about, what are the chances I could be a pilot? And they said, well, first of all, you can't hear a bomb go off in the next room, so you're almost deaf, so no, but also you're too big. And I was like devastated. So I was like, all right, I'm jumping from airplanes.
You mentioned being at the tip of the spear, and you certainly were in the 2001 World Series when you and Randy Johnson were co-MVPs. I'm curious from just an emotional perspective, pitching and being involved in that World Series in Yankee Stadium after 9/11. What was that like?
Well, you can imagine, based on what I've already said, what my country means to me, what the history of my country means to me. Having gone to Ground Zero on the off day, having been able to address the first responders on site, people in Boston get offended, and I'm assuming it's okay that they do. When they say, oh, what was special? What was more special, 2001, 2004? And I said they were the same. And they're like, no, there's no way. There's no way, 2004. But 2001, you got to remember something. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. So I was pitching in front of my high school friends and coaches and my best friends growing up. There were about 19 taglines to that first start, right? Game 7, 9/11 is a month earlier. I'm on the mound against Roger Clemens. Game 7, a guy who literally 10 years to the day earlier had took me aside in the weight room in Houston in the Astrodome and redirected my entire career. So there was a billion. And I remember I was telling this story when I was on Radio Row. I remember it was the first time, probably the only time in my career, where I stepped off the rubber and looked around. I was like, I stepped off the rubber because you remember the B-2 flyover and all the things that go with that, and the argument about having the roof closed and all this other stuff. And I stepped off the mountain, looked around, and I was like, holy F, there's like millions and millions of people watching this right now. How cool is that? And I remember throwing the first pitch. I told myself before the first pitch, I had told myself the night before, I'm going to have to close my eyes when I throw the first pitch because of the camera flashes. I don't want to get blinded and get a line drive from Jeter back in the snaz. So I did that. But it was, I can't describe it. And I screwed it up in the seventh, but I remember walking off the mound after the sixth inning. I had only faced 18 hitters. So I had faced the minimum through six. And you got to remember, that lineup was ridiculous. They were going for 4 in a row, Jeter and O'Neill and Martinez and Williams. And I had pretty much shut them down twice. And I think everybody's wondering, gosh, how's he going to be on the third time? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm ready to go. And it was just a heavyweight slugfest from a pitching perspective for 6 or 7 or 8 innings. And it ended. And I argue, if you're not a New York fan, that World Series went exactly how it should have gone. The 3 games in New York were some of the most memorable World Series games ever. That city got energized and vibrant and all that went with that, and then the good guys won at the end.
Can I ask what 9/11 was like a month later, the ground zero?
So I am someone who I don't have a problem talking to people in any setting because, for better or worse, I am who I am. I know at my core I'm a good person. I believe in good things. I try to do the right thing. Doesn't mean I always do. I try to say the right thing, and it doesn't mean I always do. But I always try and do the right thing, and I was given an opportunity with all the team members there to be the person to talk to these people. And I can remember I was talking to hundreds of people, and I don't know if I can convey it, but there was a map on the wall of the ground zero site by square foot, and it was probably 30 to 40 feet wide and 20 feet high. And in it were yellow pins for civilians, red pins for firefighters, and blue pins for police officers whose bodies they'd recovered. And at the time I was there, they had just found a fireman's remains, and they were bringing them out. And every time they did it with the ceremony. And so I recognized, I think, the power of what I was about to do, and I tried as hard as I could not to screw it up, to convey our love and appreciation for these people. And like always, to convey our love and appreciation for the people in New York, because you can say what you want about New York, but in times of crisis, there's no city in the world I think you'd want to pick on like New York. And they were everything we'd hoped they would be and more. And it was just it's an experience I'll never forget.
Kurt Schilling is our guest for a couple more minutes. We certainly do appreciate your time. You mentioned the 2004 Red Sox World Series where y'all came back from 3 down against the Yankees in the ALCS. At what point over the course of that 5 days did you feel like the Yankees might be in trouble?
Honest to God, after we lost 19-6 in Game 4, we were standing in the locker room, and in Boston's locker room we have a closed-circuit feed to the video room, the interview room. And I was standing there, and Terry sat down. And again, we just lost 19-6. We'd gotten pummeled. We're down 3-0. No one's ever done it before.
Yeah.
And they asked Terry, somebody in the Boston media said, what are you going to do? And he said, what do you mean? We're going to show up tomorrow. We're going to play our asses off. And in a split second, it clicked to me that was it. We didn't have to win 4 or 3 in a row or 2 in a row or win tomorrow's game. We needed to focus on the inning by inning. And when we had a team meeting, I said something to the effect to the team, we don't have to win the game tomorrow. We have to win the top half of the first. If you're as a pitcher, win every at bat, and as a hitter, if you make an out, win the at bat, make it a 10, whatever. And for 8 days, and then there's the always undermentioned and significantly impacting fight in the wives' room, which happened after that game, and I tell a story. So my wife is kind of like, she likes to do things for the wives. And in 2001, she put these purple scarves together, bedazzled them, and the wives wore them as like a unity thing. She did the same thing in 2004. And she didn't get along with one of the other, it wasn't a wife, it was a girlfriend at the time. And Michelle Damon came into the wives' lounge and threw her scarf at my wife and said, a lot of good these effing things did. My wife stood up and took the scarf and threw it back at her, and she said, maybe if you wore it, your husband wouldn't be 0 for 20. And it was on. And there was a legitimate hockey fight with everybody third man in, breaking it up, and we won 8 straight after that. And you can imagine, I come out after the game, right? I come out after the game, get in the car with my wife, and I'm like, oh, my God, we just lost 19-6, blah, blah. She's like, you're not going to believe what happened. And I'm like, wait, what? And so the next day, Johnny and I walked in the locker room. We looked at each other and just started laughing our butts off. We're like, oh, my God, really? But there was a lot of that little stuff going on behind the scenes.
Well, it was,
and, yeah.
It was history to watch. There's no question about that. Kurt, I could do this all afternoon. I appreciate a little bit of your time.
Let me just say, when I retired, people were like, start an animal rescue. It'll be fun, and you'll be able to rescue. I just spent 2 hours chasing a stray goat through. I toured a Civil War battlefield I didn't know existed by going through the barbed wire, and I'm bleeding profusely, and I don't even know what to say. But we caught the goat, and the goat is back safe. So
I'm glad to hear that as well. Thanks for a little bit of your time. Thanks for all the work you've done with the World Museum down here in our state, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Take care.
Sure
will.
Take
care, Hunt.
He is Kurt Schilling, Major League Baseball legend, animal rescue and goat saver, I guess is as well. I got to talk baseball with him all day. I didn't even get a chance to ask him about the current state of baseball, and I didn't get a chance to ask him about the bloody sock. I could have done a lot of that, but I thought that there were we got to respect his time, and we've also got a hard break to get at the end of the show. So that was great stuff. Appreciate Kurt for making some time for us here a couple of weeks after we couldn't make it work there on Media Row for the Super Bowl. So we'll take a time out, come back, and close things up. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111, your law firm for a lifetime.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Parish Construction and Roofing. This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
ESPN, Baton Rouge, and Citizens Bank and Trust want to help cover your car payments. It's a $5,000 grand prize with a bonus chance to win free car washes from Benny's Car Wash for 6 months. We're also letting you earn extra entries by subscribing to our LouisianaSports.net daily newsletter. To sign up, visit 1045ESPN.com. And 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge is your home for the New Orleans Pelicans. Tune in as the Pels hit the road, face the Mavericks on Friday at 7:30, and then they'll return home and host Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs Sunday at 6 and Tuesday at 7. We have the Pels on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge, and that coverage is brought to you locally by Industry Makes.
All right, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday. Big announcement. Excited about this. Y'all know that I hosted sports trivia at Pluckers for the better part of a decade, and obviously Pluckers decided to close their doors a couple of months ago. We're back in action tonight. Sports trivia, Pizza by Roan's on Perkins, 8:30. LSU Hoops will be on. You can eat some pizza, some wings, drink some cold beers, win some gift cards. So I'm really pumped about this. I tweeted out a couple days ago. Forgot to say it on the show yesterday. But we'll be at Pizza by Roan's on Perkins tonight for some sports trivia. If you'd like to come on out, bring a team, come by yourself. It'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it tonight. Pizza by Roan's on Perkins. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, first one here. Fellow 1045 ESPN producer Matt Musso said LSU's uniform combo today, purple jerseys with pinstripe pants, is the most underrated of the Tigers uniform combinations. Uniforms are, take it or leave it.
I will leave that because, in my opinion, the most underrated are the grays, which everyone doesn't like, and I love them. But these are very, very, very good. I like them a lot. If they're going to wear the purple jerseys, I think they should wear the pinstripe pants. I think that looks great. The Cubs rock a version of this with their alternates sometimes. So, yeah, I'm all in on the purples with the pins. And LSU's playing okay in them early on. They're winning 3-0 against Southern in the bottom of the third inning.
All right, next one here. The Cubs, Hunt. They made another signing.
Yeah, another old guy.
40-year-old corner infielder
Sweet.
Justin Turner. Take it or leave it.
Leave it.
Leave it alone.
He had a good finish to the year last year. He is 40. Like, I just let Matt Shaw play third base some, please, and don't block him with a 40-year-old who can't really run anymore. Turner still walks a good bit, doesn't strike out very much. But I'm not over the moon at the signing. It's cheap. There's no downside. It's 1 year, $6 million. But I just want the young kid to play. So that's where I am on that one.
All right, next one here. In a interesting trend we are seeing with some college coaches, specifically in football, moving on to different jobs. David Shaw, who's been the head coach at Stanford for over 10 years, is leaving that job to become the passing game coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Take it or leave it.
Are we sure Shaw was the coach at Stanford last year?
Oh, maybe not. Maybe he's been gone for a few years.
Yeah, they've
now.
moved on from him. But either way, there is a trend of coaches leaving head coaching positions to go be coordinators in the college or the pro ranks because they don't want to deal with the drama with the transfer portal and NIL. And so I get that. And I don't know how much he had to deal with that at the end there at Stanford, but he's a very respected football coach, and And I mean, the Lions got to overhaul basically their entire staff because when you lose your 2 coordinators, which they did, those guys are oftentimes going to take support system roles like Kellen Moore is taking from Philly to New Orleans, and you're going to need to really restock the shelves. And I think David Shaw is a good fit there for Dan Campbell.
All right, last one here. Kyrie Irving has said that he wants to play for Team Australia at the 2028 LA Olympics. He has not made the Team USA roster in their last 2 Olympics, and he says that he's in the process of doing that. Kyrie Irving with the Aussies. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. That's garbage. You're not from Australia. You don't play for Australia.
He was born in Melbourne.
Don't care. Not in Australia.
Okay.
I didn't know he was born in Australia.
He was.
How long did he live there?
I don't think he was there very long. But I mean, I don't know. I can try to find it real quick. But I would guess that his parents' dad was probably in the military.
Yeah.
And that's probably why. But
leave it. Play for America, Kyrie. That's it.
He was born and then he grew up in New Jersey. Yep. Didn't grow up there.
Nope. Next.
That's it.
All right. All right, LSU leads 3-0 over Southern. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. LSU, South Carolina tonight. LSU will travel to Nichols tomorrow in baseball. We'll talk about that as well. You can read about all of it at LouisianaSports.net. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your podcast. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. That's about to drive you home. And after further review, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Hope to see you at Sports Trivia tonight. If not, we'll be next time on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community